Hello and welcome to Beyond the Boulevard. I'm your host, Maya Burney, and today I get to interview successful Belmont alum Hope Buckner. Welcome!
Hi, Maya. It's so fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for letting me interview you. I'm so excited to get to talk. Well, first, in traditional Belmont fashion, can you give us a name, major, hometown?
Oh, for sure. My name is Hope Cooper Buckner. I was a um, public relations major and education minor from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Gosh, that feels so fun to say. I have I was a room recruiter back in the day and a tour guide, and I used to say that all the time, but I haven't said that in many, many years. So that was a throwback. That's fun.
I
PT
love it.
leader, all of it.
Yes. Kind of going into that, why did you choose to come to Belmont in general? And then obviously you ended up being pretty hyper involved. So can you tell us your story on how you got here?
Yeah, for sure. Well, having grown up in Murfreesboro, I found Belmont actually. So Murfreesboro's pretty close, about 45 minutes away. And I first visited Belmont with one of my closest friends in high school at the time, who was really into music, and he actually auditioned at Belmont for performance, and I came on his audition with him and his family, just kind of as a fun Saturday outing, and was really impressed with what I saw, and I had learned about Belmont a little bit through some college fairs in my hometown in my high school. But I was actively on the college search and kind of got Belmont in my view. And then my family, we came in the fall, in a fall preview day my senior year of high school. And the second I stepped foot on this campus, and I think the same was true for my parents, we just knew like
Mm.
this was it for me. I'll date myself a little bit, but that year the preview day themes were picture yourself at Belmont, and we got disposable cameras. So the like click, like type
Yes.
uh type strategy, and they were wrapped in a Belmont branded um wrap, and we took photos all over campus and then got to get them developed and then look through them as a family. And I remember driving home, sitting in the back seat of my dad's truck, my parents in the front seat, and my dad looked in the rearview mirror at me and he just said, "That's it, baby, like that's it,
Mm.
that's the place for you." And I feel like that was so clear. And I've said for years now, I really believe that Belmont was written into my story so much longer before I knew of its existence. I feel like this was the place that God intended for me, and a place that I would ultimately meet my husband. Um, and then Belmont would continue to be such a significant part of our stories. Truly, like this community and this place has been kind of woven throughout the story that would become mine and Clark's, so many years later. So it's pretty cool.
Can you talk about too? So you apply to Belmont, you come here. Why did you choose the major that you did?
Mm. I came to Belmont actually as a communication studies major,
Hmm.
um, and largely because I wanted to be an audiologist, for speech
Ooh.
pathologist.
Hmm.
And Belmont didn't have that major, but
Hmm.
I knew that you have to go to grad school to do that type of career, and so I could study communication studies and then go to grad school for speech pathology. So I took a couple of classes my first semester and second semester freshman year, and really enjoyed. I had some great faculty there, but couldn't quite settle on what I wanted to do. I was really felt really called to work in the nonprofit sector and be really engaged in community. And I really struggled with my confidence. I was
Mm.
really anxious much of my freshman year around figuring out what was going to be right for me. I met some friends who were studying PR and learned more about what this career is like. Ultimately, it's about connecting organizations with their publics and building strong relationships together to go on and impact people in really powerful ways and help them flourish. And
Mm.
I wouldn't have said that definition,
Yeah.
15 years ago, but there was something about this community of people, that my professors, my advisor, my peers, that ultimately led me to stick to change my major to PR and really stick with it.
Mm.
And actually, I'm one of those kind of weird people who my pretty much my whole career, there have been a couple twists and turns, but the majority of my career has been in the industry that I studied,
Yeah.
which is cool and not common. doesn't mean that it'll stay that way, right? I'm very open-handed, so who knows, right? Who knows? But most of my career has been focused in public relations in one way or another.
So you
Mhm.
obviously came to Belmont and now you still work for Belmont. What was there anybody throughout your time here who was like a big mentor and a big reason why you're doing what you do and stayed around?
So many people. So my senior year of college, well, the summer before my senior year, and then both semesters senior year. So for a full calendar year, I
Wow.
interned in what was at that time the Office of Communications. We've
Mm.
since restructured 14 ways to Sunday since then, but that was the unit that was responsible for internal and external communications, media relations, crisis, and publications. And I was one of a team of three. And so I was the fourth team member of a team of three. And so I got unbelievable experience doing PR for the university. And it was amazing. I loved that opportunity. I worked very closely under two primary supervisors, Greg Pillen and April Hefner. Funny enough, both of whom are still here. Greg has transitioned to an incredible role in advancement where he does parent and family programming and giving. Um, and April Hefner is our vice president of marketing and communications now, and I serve as our vice president of executive communications and presidential initiatives. And April and I are the dearest of friends. Our husbands are very close. We live on the same street, and we're partners in the work that we do at Belmont in leading and seeking to guide our brand, thinking about reputation, managing communications for the institution. And we do different things, but we are really partnered and collaborative in the work that we do. And so much of who I am and the approach that I have and just my love for communication stems from that internship, largely from April and from Greg. And so it's really cool to know them. And funny enough, my when I came back to Belmont to work full time, I was on their team. And so a couple of years after college, um, I came back to work at Belmont 2 years after college as a communication specialist and then an assistant director in the Office of Communications at that time. And then I left to go to a big PR firm where I had unbelievable mentors who poured into me and gave me opportunities that they never should have based on my experience, but they trusted me to do things that were so far beyond what I thought I was capable of. Ultimately, the community that we have built here and that we continue to build, that we're committed to building, I'm a result of that, and I'm grateful.
Mm, that is such a beautiful answer.
Thanks.
What else, were you involved in, like, anything else here that like, you really were passionate about, I guess, and what do you think you gained from those experiences?
Yeah, I was a pretty involved student leader. I was really involved in burn recruiters, and I was a tour guide. I was tour guide captain and on the leadership team. Um, the biggest thing I gained from my burn recruiter experience is my dear husband Clark. He's a year younger than me, and so he was a senior in high school when I was a freshman at Belmont, and he came to visit for what was then Academic Options Day. It's now known as be Belmont Day in the
Mm,
spring. So students who have been admitted come and visit Belmont.
mhm,
Um, and a dear, dear, dear close friend of mine met him and introduced us, and we have been really together ever since. So that'll be 17 years in February. Married 11 a couple weeks ago. The Lord's been so good to me, but He is my greatest gift. And I look back on so much of who we are and who we strive to be has been
mm,
fostered here and cultivated
mhm.
here, and we're so grateful for that. So Burn Recruiters gave me a lot, including a husband of 11 years, but also just incredible the opportunity to know how to talk to people and how to walk up to
Mm,
folks you don't know and get engaged in conversation. I was a TT leader all 3 years. That
mm,
was incredible. There's nothing like a Belmont Welcome Week or Move-In Day. Um, I love the energy around here as we're welcoming new students. That's really sweet. I was very involved in my sorority, Alpha Gamma Delta. I was a vice president for a couple of years and served on our executive team. That was really significant for me at that
mm,
time. And then I actually started my career as a leadership consultant for Alpha Gam. So I
mm,
traveled all over the United States and Canada, doing leadership development for women on college campuses all around um, this country and Canada. I
mm.
visited a few Canadian chapters too. And so that is, I'm so grateful for that experience as a student, and then the opportunity that I had as a young professional. But then I would also say my internship. So I had an
Mm,
internship pretty much every semester starting my sophomore year,
mhm,
and in the summers too. And the relationships that I built within those experiences are relationships that I still cultivate and nurture. And really, so much of my career has been all of my career has been thanks to some incredible relationships. So,
mm,
I mean, it is. If I almost feel like it can't be overstated, like the
mhm,
impact that this community has on people when they lean in to the things around
mm.
them.
Can you talk about so what is it that you do now? How is that different from what you did before? And then how is that different
Yeah,
from your past work in general?
Yeah, so my role now, Vice President of Executive Communications and Presidential Initiatives, is housed in the Office of the President. And so
Mm,
I um, work within our team to support the strategic agenda, Greg's Jones's strategic agenda for the university, and think really creatively about how we're communicating, doing executive communication, and then the initiatives that stem out of his office. Um, and so it is amazing. I still do a ton of comms. I still do a lot of PR, different than media relations work that I used to
mm,
do, but still really connected to kind of the heart of what it means to build relationships with stakeholders and care for
mhm.
people well, which ultimately at the end of the day is what PR is.
So you ended up getting your master's degree, is that correct?
hmm Yeah.
In
So when I was at Belmont the first time, I got my master's degree in nonprofit leadership.
nonprofit leadership. How do you think that has helped you with your current role and in general, like why'd you decide to do that?
Yeah. I think more than anything, getting my master's was such a huge confidence boost for me. It's difficult to work full time and have a family, whatever family looks like for you. We were newlyweds. I started my master's in um, the summer of 2015. And so Clark and I had been married about 7 months or 8 months at the time. So we were navigating all kinds of new things together, and I was working full time at Belmont. I was in full time coursework. Eventually, in the process, I started writing a thesis, and I think more than anything, it just really demonstrated for me the what I was capable of,
Mm.
which was really significant. It was really a gift. I'm so grateful that I did that because it's a huge commitment, but it felt really, really worth it for me.
What would be a piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's considering going into a master's program or just an even higher education program in general?
A couple things come to mind immediately. Number one is just that there is always so much to learn, and
Mm,
in the educational world or even in corporate, sometimes we talk about growth mindsets. So
mhm,
how do we cultivate a mindset in folks that's always seeking to improve and get better and not kind of rest on what we've done, but celebrate the good
mm.
work, but also think about what's next. So I think any opportunity to lean into that is of significant value. um, at the same time, I also think that sometimes we forget that rest is for us and required. I think particularly in grad school settings, things can often feel competitive or like you're on always striving for the next thing. And my hope for all of us, for myself and all of us, is that there's a sense of peace and contentment in the place that we
Mm,
are, because there's always more to learn, yes, and there is always so much to celebrate. And so I wonder about what balance looks like in that way. And maybe not balance, but intentionality. Like, how are we intentionally leaning into the things that are before us that we want to learn? And how are we intentionally taking the rest that we need and celebrating the things that deserve to be celebrated? And then I would also say that there's just unlimited opportunities to expand our minds and take in new information and influence the ways that we're thinking about things. So if that's a graduate program, I think that's hugely beneficial. If it's a podcast or an article, if it's silly pop culture content that makes us think differently about some social conversation or something that we want to invigorate our minds around, I think there's good value in that too. So I like to think about what it means to foster a growth mindset and how we apply that across a lot of different bases of our lives.
just to kind of round us out, end us out, what is your favorite thing about what you do now?
I would say I feel like I am in a really special place that fits my skill set in really
Mhm.
meaningful ways, that I am able to use my communications function that I,
Mm.
know a lot about, from both an education perspective, but also just a practical experience perspective, to help the university accomplish the goals that we've set that ultimately will support our students in their journeys to whatever that looks like. And when you feel really aligned and integrated with the things that you've learned and the places that you've been, there are certainly days that are so tough and seasons that are tough, long weeks, and gosh, it can, there are moments that are significantly difficult. But when you find alignment and integration in the way that I'm so grateful that I've not found it, but I'm working towards it. I feel like I'm in a place where there's more of it than maybe in other seasons. That feels like such a gift because even when the days are long and hard, there is something else to orient towards, and you feel really sturdy in that. So I mean, that's not like this aspect of my job is my favorite thing. But I would say like that general sense of alignment is really, it brings me a lot of joy.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your advice and your wisdom and your
This is
what
so
you've
fun.
learned. I'm
I
so
love it.
glad. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Maya. So fun.
And thank you for joining us on Beyond the Boulevard. I've been your host, Maya Burney. Join us next time when I get to interview another successful alum from Belmont.